What is up, guys? The doctor, he's back in the office, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC 323. You're going to get my full card predictions, some betting advice that's going to fail for all of you. You're going to lose all your money, and just kind of my overall thoughts on this card. Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan 2, the rematch from a couple years ago. We also have Alessandro Pantoja versus Joshua Van for the flyweight championship. Brandon Moreno, maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow. Maybe not today, maybe this week, maybe not tomorrow. Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira is on this card. Henry Cejudo, the cringe lord himself, against Frank Ocean's boyfriend, Payne Talbott. And then Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. Pretty much the main card was a bunch of midgets. And then the prelims, fucking banger after banger. Grant Dawson, fucking Terrence McKinney, Macy Barber, Karine Silva, Ziam, Nazim Sadykhov. I mean, we have fucking bangers everywhere. But let's start off with the early prelim opener of Muhammad Naimov versus Myron Santos. Really solid start, and kind of one of those that can already break my perfect streak in this card. I could easily start 0-1 here. I lean towards Myron Santos. I kind of like him as a prospect. You know, Muhammad Naimov, he's 5-1 in the UFC. Believe he's on a 2-fight win streak. Beat Bogdan Grad, who just got knocked out by Luke Riley. And then fucking Kano. I can't even do the Australian accent right now. You know, I got to work into it. But Olfi, who Myron Santos actually finished in his debut to win tough. Muhammad Naimov also, he beat Nathaniel Wood by robbery. That was fucking bullshit. And Jamie Malarkey, who absolutely sucks. He's an absolute bum. Jamie Malarkey, you know, everybody knows I hate Jamie Malarkey. And then he got subbed by Felipe Lima, who, funny enough, I think that's the same Felipe Lima that Payne Talbott beat. So he's fought some names, you know. Myron Santos is 3-0 in the UFC. His debut was, again, the tough finale where he beats Conor Olfi, TKO finish over him. He also schooled Sadiq Youssef in his last fight, which I think was some good experience for him. You know, he struggled making 145, which slightly worries me, but he is a great striker. He's pretty explosive. He's athletic, and he's he's 6 years younger than Muhammad Naimov. I think Santos is going to find a finish in this. You know, I just think he's more explosive as an athlete. I could see a role where Muhammad Naimov really kind of relies on his grappling, kind of smudges Myron Santos. But I just think it's going to be a close fight. I think the UFC is also kind of stopped rewarding guys, especially in the prelims, for that heavy grappling style that nobody fucking wants to watch. It's the prelims, so really anything can happen. It's the opener. But I'm going to go Myron Santos. As long as he keeps us on the feet and does damage, he's going to find a finish. I'm going to go Myron Santos by second round TKO. Moving up the card, we go to Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Antonio Trocoli. He's actually Brazilian, not Italian, so I don't even know why the fuck I try to do that. But I think Mansur Abdul-Malik's going to finish him bad. He's a pretty solid prospect. He's pretty big for the division at 6'2" with nearly an 80-inch reach. He's, a big middleweight. Finished Wes Schultz on Dana White's Contender Series, who just got a contract, had that like Suluev stretch that he got a guy on. He also has TKOs over Dusko Todorovic and Nick Klein. So he does have some solid wins in the UFC. He had a weird kind of fight with Cody Brundage back in July or June, where he, you know, they're in the third round. There's an accidental headbutt. It kind of stops the fight, but the round was scored anyway for Mansur Abdul-Malik, so he wins. I mean, he would have won the fight anyway. He was on the way to winning, but then, you know, Cody Brundage and his fucking team appealed to the Georgia State Athletic Commission. It's overturned to a no contest. So whatever, his last fight says draw on here, but it wasn't. He was winning that fight. He has a lot of power. He also can mix in his wrestling. And Antonio Trocoli, he got finished by Shara Bullet on short notice. Like, came in, took Shara Magomedov on short notice. He also got subbed by Trayshawn Gore, who kind of sucks. But at least those are some names. And the guy got popped for steroids in the Contender Series. I think his first time on it. So he sucks. Fucking Mansur by KO. I lean towards more round 2. Because Shara Bullet didn't. Shara Magomedov, he didn't even get a fucking KO till the third round. I think it was a right or a left hook. And I hope Mansur Abdul-Malik actually gets to step up in competition for this after this fight. So I'm going to go Mansur Abdul-Malik by second round finish. Antonio Trocoli, you fucking suck. Go back to Italy, buddy. Up the card, we go to Ivo Aslan versus Ivo Baraniewski. Turkish Power versus Polish Power. Ivo Aslan has like an actual fan base on Twitter because, you know, those fucking people from Turkey, they have nothing to root for. I'm gonna lean towards Iwo in this fight. Iwo's on a 2-fight losing streak. Lost to Billy Alicana and Ian Kutalaba after starting his UFC career 2-0 by beating fucking shit cans in the light heavyweight division like Rafael Sequeira. And he was supposed to fight Junior Tafa. I think it UFC fucking Australia or UFC Sydney, whatever it is, or whatever, fucking Perth, UFC Perth. And then fucking Junior Tafa couldn't make weight because he's extremely fat. But Iwo Baraniewski, this is his debut. He's had a first round finish in every single one of his professional fights. And he also has a ton of amateur experience. I think he has like a 16-3 record in his amateur career, which is pretty impressive. I know he's beating fucking nobodies, but it's cool to kind of see a guy with a ton of experience, had a couple of losses. And he also beat Muhammad Ali in his Dana White Contender Series. First Dana White Contender Series fight. And not the Muhammad Ali. He didn't dig up Muhammad Ali's body, who was riddled with Parkinson's, and beat the shit out of him. No, he just beat a dude who has a similar spelling of a name. And he's got a ton of power. He's pretty patient. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he fights a guy like Ibo Aslan, who, listen, I don't think he's good, but he's not like a he's not a shitter. He's not an absolute fucking can. He's a blockhead. I think both can be really aggressive and mix and grappling. But I think Iwo Baraniewski is just better. I've never really been high on Ibo Aslan whatsoever. I'm going to go... Fucking round 1 knockouts are tough. But I really like this Iwo Baraniewski guy. Young, 27 years old. It's kind of a stocky light heavyweight, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. But when you have a first round finish in every single one of your fights, I'm taking notice. I'm going to go first round knockout. I think submission is also a possibility if he, stumbles Ibo on the feet, gets a takedown, and then takes his back for maybe a rear naked or something. I think he has some arm bars in his game too. Don't quote me on that. But I'm going to go with Iwo Baraniewski by first round finish. Ibo Aslan, you absolutely suck. You absolutely suck, brother. Up the card we go to, I think this is the last fight on the early prelims. Edson Barboza versus Jalen Turner. Now listen, this is just you heard my sigh. This lets out a big sigh for me. I don't know what the fuck Edson Barboza did to deserve this matchup. Did he say he hates power slap? Did he fuck Dana's wife? Because those are the only valid reasons why the UFC should be giving Edson Barboza this matchup. Like, why are they even doing Jalen Turner a favor and giving him a washed Edson Barboza who doesn't have it anymore? I mean, you're getting Jalen Turner returning after, going on a mini retirement, saying he kind of needed a break from mental health. Had been on a little bit of a skid. I mean, as you could see, lost 4 of his last 5. Had close decision losses to Dan Hooker and, Gamrot. But this is absolutely tragic for Edson Barboza. I mean, he hasn't really looked like the same Edson Barboza for many years. Lost to Jakar Close in his last fight. The prime Edson Barboza's fucking shutting Jakar Close's lights out. Also lost to Lerone Murphy. And Jalen Turner, again, as mentioned, 4 of his last 5. Got finished by Bobby Green. Got finished by Moicano and then subbed by... Wait, did I say he got finished by Bobby Green? No, his only win is over Bobby Green. Got finished by Renato Moicano and got subbed by... Ignacio Bahamondes in his last fight. So, he's on a fucking skid, but Barboza, he's old. I think Turner's too talented. He can kind of use his range to pick Edson Barboza apart. Even though I think Jalen Turner has holes in his ground game, Edson Barboza is not taking this guy to the ground and exposing any of his weaknesses off his back or anything. And whatever. I guess, I just think Jalen Turner's probably got a highlight reel Edson Barboza. It's not funny. It's not fair. I don't want to see it. Listen, if Edson Barboza, I'm cool with him losing this, but please lose decision. I don't want to see you even get submitted. I don't really fucking care. I don't want to see you. I really don't want to see him get flatline KO'd in this, but I think Jalen Turner is going to do that. And Jalen Turner, if you lose this fight, I never want to see you. I never want to see you again. We should send you to federal fucking prison with all the dudes who run the Stream East, according to Dana. So I'm going to go with him by second round knockout. I think Edson Barboza, well, at least he'll show up in the first round. Like, at least do something. And, he just gasses himself out. He's just too fucking old. I mean, he's nearly 40 years old. He's going to kind of do that thing in the second round where he's dropping his hands. He's kind of bouncing around. He's clearly breathing heavy. And Jalen Turner will just piece him up, and that'll be it for Edson Barboza. I hope it's kind of like he pieces him up. Edson Barboza kind of falls down to his knees along the cage. Jalen Turner, lands 2 good right hands in there on the cage, bam, bam. And then the ref Herb Dean, whoever the fucking ref of this fight is, steps in, breaks it up, and that's it. We don't have to see an unconscious Edson Barboza. I'm fine with a TKO as long as I just don't want to see him go out cold, but I think that might happen. Up the card, we go to Marvin Vettori, the greatest chin of all time, the Italian Dream, versus Bruno the Hulk Ferreira. Really excited for this one because Marvin Vettori, this guy used to be a dude who was in main events competing for belts. The fucking fall off is crazy. And I don't know if Bruno Ferreira is going to be the guy that fully cracks Marvin Vettori's chin and knocks him out. But I still think he's going to win this. You know, Vettori's lost 4 of his last 5. All the good comp, like Bobby fucking Knuckles, Roman Dolidze, who he lost to in a rematch, beat him the first time, Jared Cannonier, and then lost to Brennan Allen in his last. Remember, there was a lot of beef in that one because somebody was trolling somebody else about a dead brother. I think it was Marvin Vettori was getting trolled. But listen, I've never thought Marvin Vettori was that good. I always thought his striking was kind of whatever. He can mix in the grappling. He always just had a great chin. It's not like he's ever been defensively that sound. It's like he just eats a ton of shots and just takes no damage. Like, it is impressive. But like, is he well-rounded? Yes. But he doesn't really do anything that I've ever thought was that impressive. Bruno Ferreira, he has real finishing skills. He's more in his prime. He can use his elbows, use his grappling. Like, he beat fucking RoboCop in the beginning of his career. He has sort of flying knee finish on Phil Hawes. Who people forget, man. Phil Hawes, he was something. I think he's in Dirty Boxing right now, or one of those shitbag promotions. And, you know, he had a spinning elbow finish on Dustin Stoltzfus. Back-to-back armbar wins that he's currently have over Jackson McVeigh and Armin Petrosian. And again, Vettori hasn't been good in forever, and I know he's ranked, but he isn't going to outstrike Bruno Ferreira. I just think he won't get... Again, I can't... Picking a KO in a Bruno against Marvin Vettori is tough. One of these days it'll happen. Maybe this is the fight where his chin gets fully exposed, but his chin is deteriorating. You saw it, you know, where he gets rocked by Jared Cannonier and Brennan Allen. Like, I just think he's done. He's due to get knocked out. I don't know if Bruno Ferreira is that guy, and he's been taking on a ton of damage. I think there's a chance that Bruno Ferreira rocks him and then gets into submission, but I think I'm going to take him by a decision. I think he'll mix in his grappling and his wrestling well enough. Like, Vettori is tough to get down, but Bruno Ferreira, I just think he's got a fucking deep bag of tricks, like in terms of submission game and grappling. He's just well-rounded. I like Bruno Ferreira, and I'm going to just go with him by decision. I think there's a world where he gets a submission in this, but I like him by decision. He's kind of like a slight underdog in this too, so I don't think it's a bad pick. But either way, I'm going to go Bruno Ferreira by decision. Up the card we go through the prelims, and probably the best prelims fight of mine, or maybe second best, or third. Fuck, who cares? Don't listen to me. Fares Ziam versus Nazim Sadykhov. I am so excited for this one. This is probably, of all the fights so far, this is easily the one I'm most excited for. Ziam, he was supposed to fight Cowboy Fernandez back in France, and then his grandma died. So now his grandma's spirit is watching him over to fight Nazim Sadykhov. And this is a real test for both of these guys. Like, Sadykhov, he's 4-0-1 in the UFC. Finished Nicholas Mata, which one was one of those craziest 2-round fights you've ever seen, where Nicholas Mata is really pouring it onto the body of Nazim Sadykhov. He fucking somehow survives. And then he works his way back into the fight with head kicks, elbows, drops him with the right hook on the cage. Also beat Ismail Bonfim, sub Terrence McKinney, who we'll get to later on this card. And he's just very explosive. He's patient, or he's very explosive. But for Ziam, he's 7-2 in the UFC, lost his UFC debut, but since then, it's beaten Jai Herbert, Claudio Puelles, who's a very accomplished Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, finished Matt Favola, shout out Long Island, and beat Mike Davis. So he's beaten really good names. He's very patient. He's a very rangy striker. I mean, there's a 6-inch reach advantage here and a 2-inch height advantage for Ziam. And he's improved his grappling. I think Sadykhov, again, he's very explosive. You know, he looked great against Nicholas Mata, who's a pretty fun striker. And both these dudes can mix in the grappling, but I think they'll neutralize each other, and it'll be mostly a striking matchup. And listen, I think logically Fares Ziam is the pick here, but I'm going to go with Sadykhov. Like, I think he rolls with the shots really well, has some really nice combos. I think he wins by decision. Again, I think this could go either way. The only thing that worries me is Fares Ziam is kind of he's a sniper, bro. He does a really nice job of distance management, picking you apart from range. I think he's honestly a bit more well-rounded than Nazim Sadykhov, but I like that. And also Nazim Sadykhov, in every single one of his wins, he faces adversity, and he hasn't faced the guy as, you know, high level as a Fares Ziam yet. And Nazim Sadykhov went to fucking war with Borshev, who kind of sucks, and that could be a reason to pick Fares Ziam. He's also younger, but fuck it, I'm just gonna be different. I'm gonna stick with my guys. I've always liked Nazim Sadykhov. And he's also a Sarah Longo / Syndicate MMA guy, so I like John Wood, I like Ray Longo. I'm going to go with him by decision. this is easily kind of one of those. There's always one fight, a card for me where I just pick with my heart. I don't really pick with my brain. I'm going to go with Sadykhov by decision. I think this could be a really close fight. I could easily see Ferreira Ziam win this, maybe completely outclass the Ziam Sadykhov. Don't bet on this fight. Just sit back, watch, and enjoy a fucking banger, because that's what that fight's going to be. And then the opposite of a banger, Maycee Barber versus Karine Silva. The only women's fight on this card, I don't think it's a bad one by any means, but Silva, she's a fighting nerd right now. She kind of had that close decision against Barboza, which I think was one of the first fights we did on this channel. Maycee Barber, remember, she was supposed to fight Erin Blanchfield back in the Apex. She was the main event for that fucking card, and then had a seizure before the fight, which isn't funny, but what was funny was Erin Blanchfield pretty much just calling her a bitch, a loser, a quitter, and was just calling her unprofessional, which was funny because she had a seizure. And I get Maycee Barber's had a lot of health problems with getting injured and stuff, but prayers out to her. If she can stay healthy, she is talented. And she's 9-2 in the UFC, won her last 6. I think Silva's a pretty solid striker, also has some submission game, but Barber, she's really big. She's bigger, like just a stronger woman. She can use her size pretty well to outgrit Karine Silva. She also has good takedown defense. And majority of Karine Silva's wins are by submission. I think she's going to have a tough time getting Maycee Barber down. But if Maycee Barber can stay healthy, I think she could be kind of forced in the flyweight division. But I'm going to go with Maycee Barber by unanimous decision. Classic 29-28. Hopefully she doesn't get a seizure before this fight. Prayers out to Maycee Barber. And remember, Gamrot versus Ludwig Klein was just the main event at that point. There wasn't an official main event. It was just made Maycee Barber versus Erin Blanchfield, and then nobody fought. It was just funny, like watching Erin Blanchfield just call her unprofessional, and she had a medical emergency. That was really fucking cool, but just whatever. Up the card, we go to Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. It really doesn't get any better than this in terms of, if you want to finish, this is a guaranteed spot for a finish. It's an absolute fucking banger. Someone is dying. Terrence McKinney, this guy never sees a decision. I think it's a 50-50 fight, where I could really see either one of these dudes killing the other one. Both on really nice runs in the UFC right now. Terrence McKinney, super inspirational dude. I mean, this dude literally was a drug addict and fucking died and is still alive. I think this fight will not make it past the second round. McKinney's on a 2-fight win streak. Had that sick mounted guillotine over Borshev. I think it was on the Marab versus O'Malley 2 card, or it was something over the summer. And Duncan, he had that absolute war with Mateusz Rebecki in the Apex, where there was so much fucking blood. That was a sick fight. Also sub Blachowicz. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Not Blachowicz, Chris Duncan. And McKinney, I think he's shown improved grappling as of late. And he also subbed for SCM, who I think is a lot better than Chris Duncan. And he's a really fast starter, Terrence McKinney, so I could see him getting an sub early in this fight. And Chris Duncan kind of takes a round to work into the fight. And as long as Chris Duncan, I think, survives the first round, he can win this fight. Terrence McKinney's literally 99 overall, 100, 125 stats everywhere for the guys who play the show. He's the LeBron James and Michael Jordan of first rounds. So as long as Chris Duncan survives that first round, then he's going to win. And I think he's really going to have to deal with the improved and X-Factor grappling of Terrence McKinney. And honestly, originally I was going Chris Duncan here. I was like, this is a classic where I just buy way too much into Terrence McKinney hype train. He's all over social media. Everybody loves him. But fuck it. I think Chris Duncan, for being kind of a slow starter, is going to lose this fight. Terrence McKinney's literally fucking LeBron in the first round, saying it again. And I think he's going to eat too many shots. I think McKinney's just going to come out fucking Super Saiyan, supersonic in that first round. Get a first round TKO. I'm very much split on this. It really could go either way. Again, a fight I would just stay away from. Take the under on 1.5 rounds. Or, yeah, take the under, because it's not or take it under 2.5. Because there's no way this gets past 2 rounds. I think Duncan's probably a better mixed martial artist, but I'd feel pissed if I picked against Terrence McKinney and then he fucking won. So I'm going to go Terrence McKinney by first round knockout. Could see him get a first round submission. Shit, maybe he gets into second round, but every single one of his wins and fights go into the first round. Up the card, we go to the feature fight on the prelims. Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. Another fight that I am pretty split on. But it's also kind of weird how Grant Dawson, he's ranked. I kind of forget his ranking. I think he's like 13th or something. He's fighting down in the rankings, but I kind of get, like, my issue with lightweight is you got guys like Manuel Torres, Quillen Sal killed. Then you got like Ferreira Ziam, Sadykhov. Like they have like real fun guys in lightweight who aren't ranked Ignacio Bahamondes is now. But you know what I mean? Like, we just gotta, once these old guys retire, we're gonna get a lot of new faces in there who are pretty exciting. And I'm really excited for this fight. All of Manuel Torres's fights in the UFC have ended in his first round. Like, even the one loss he has to Ignacio Bahamondes, all in the first round. He's Tikio Drew Dober, Nicholas Mata. He's beat. He subbed. Who the fuck did he submit? Who am I thinking of? Sub Chris Duncan. Fuck, there we go. He has great power. He's a great boxer. Grant Dawson is 11-1 in the UFC. His only loss is to Bobby Green. He is a very grappling heavy style where he's going to kind of smudge you out. He's beating Diego Ferreira, finished Rafa Garcia on the ground, sub Jared Gordon. And he also straight up said in interviews to this fight that he's going to just pretty much try and take this down and has zero interest in the stand-up, which I don't blame him because he looks like a fucking child when he's on the stand-up. He has like zero hand-eye coordination. And Manuel Torres, I think, has 89% takedown defense. And as long as he can keep this on the feet, he's going to win this fight. So I think I'm going to take Manuel Torres by second round knockout. I think the only way Dawson wins this is by smudge decision. He's not really a great finisher. He's not going to, he doesn't have elite ground and pound, doesn't have elite submission game. And I think Manuel Torres is just going to get in the face of Grant Dawson, make this fucking tough. Like, Bobby Green fucking chinned Grant Dawson. Even Diego Ferreira was piecing him up. And Grant Dawson does a nice job chasing single legs, getting to your back. But again, he's not an elite finisher. That 89% takedown defense, I think, is going to come into play here. And it's not nothing. Like, Manuel Torres, has he fought a grappler at a level of Grant Dawson? No, but he's fought, like, legit names in the division. I just think Grant Dawson being so uncomfortable on the feet is kind of making me not want to take him. And, I could see a world where he kind of takes advantage of Manuel Torres overextending a ton on his punches. But, man, I fucking love Manuel Torres. This guy's super exciting. Remember, there was, like, rumors of him supposed to fight Charles Oliveira. That didn't end up happening. But I think this fight's going to be super interesting. If it gets into the second round, I'm intrigued to kind of see what Manuel Torres does, because all of his fights end in the first. But I'm going to give Grant Dawson credit. I think he gets this to the second, and Manuel Torres figures out a way to get his first UFC win in the second round and first UFC fight into the second round. If it gets to the third, he's cooked. I'll leave it at that. But I'm going to go Manuel Torres by second round knockout. Gets him into the rankings probably, and, good fight for him. So that's the recap of the prelims. We're going to take Myron Santos by second round TKO on Muhammad Naimov. Mansur Abdul-Malik over Antonio Trocoli, second round knockout. And Ibo Aslan, we're going to take him to lose versus Ibo Baraniewski by first round finish. Jalen Turner by second round, probably highly real finish over Edson Barboza. Bruno Ferreira by decision. Ziam Sadykhov by decision. Macy Barber by 29-20 decision over Silva. Terrence McKinney, first round knockout over Chris Duncan. And Manuel Torres, second round finish over Grant Dawson. Those are my picks for the prelims. Let's move on to the main card, starting off with our only non-midget fight on the main card, Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. I think I'm going to go with Jan Blachowicz here. He's the old man. There's nearly a 10-year age gap between these dudes. He hasn't fought in 8 months, looked decent against Carlos Ulberg, was competitive there. And then before that, arguably beat Alex Pereira. Bogdan Guskov, he's 4-1 in the UFC. His only loss was his debut to Volkan Ozdemir, where he got submitted. He's on a 4-fight win streak. Had a guillotine win over Billy Alicana, finished Nikita Krylov in his last fight, which everybody finishes Nikita Krylov now. He's fucking cooked now. He's dangerous, but I don't think his grappling has been tested yet, and he hasn't really faced a true crafty vet in Jan Blachowicz to that level. And again, Jan Blachowicz, he's fucking crafty. And, he's on a losing streak, I get it, but they're all close decisions to Carlos Ulberg and Alex Pereira. And he also had a draw with, Big Onk, who he probably beat. And, this is a step down in the rankings for him. He still has a great chin and is a blockhead. He's hard to hit. He's good defensively. Bogdan Guskov, all of his, successful attacks are from the right side. He's a really nice right hand. But again, I just don't think he's fought a guy at the level of Jan Blachowicz, who's still a solid striker, can mix in his grappling very well. And he also could do a ton of damage up close in the pocket, use his calf kicks really well to kind of break down Bogdan Guskov. I think I could see him get either a late finish here, or wins by decision. I think I'm going to lean with decision. I think there's a chance where he just comes out here and looks like he's running or walking around on cement. You never know with these 42-year-olds, or nearly 43. But I like Jan Blachowicz still. You know, if your chin is still there at light heavyweight, and you're kind of facing a guy in Bogdan Guskov who, you know, he has like his best win is the Nikita Krylov, he's done. Like he's too injured, too old, chin's gone. Dominic Reyes really fucking exposed that. And, you know, he just hasn't fought a guy like Jan Blachowicz. It's a big step down for him. I think Jan Blachowicz is going to just show levels to Bogdan Guskov in this and win this by decision. Up the card we go to Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbott. This is Henry Cejudo's official retirement fight, according to him. And I could see this fight going, you know, one of two ways. You know, I could see Henry Cejudo maybe actually wrestle in this fight. But he just tends to keep fights on the feet now, so that's probably not going to happen. And Payne Talbot has shown improved takedown defense. Oh, no, I didn't say... Fuck me. I didn't mean to say this. See this go one of two ways. I think Payne Talbot's winning this fight. Henry Cejudo doesn't mix in his wrestling at all anymore. He's never been this sick offensive wrestler, despite kind of having that pedigree in the Olympics. Payne Talbot, he showed really improved takedown defense against Felipe Lima, who's a pretty solid prospect. Like, so much better from Mahoney Barcelos, you know, just fucking ugly performance. Again, I don't see Cejudo smudging him with the wrestling. He hasn't done that in forever. Or I also don't think Payne Talbot's going to KO Henry Cejudo on the feet. Like, Cejudo's decent enough. You know, he only beat DJ with his wrestling, really. And he isn't like this insane wrestler in the UFC, especially as of late. Like, look at the TJ Dillashaw fight. I get TJ Dillashaw was washed, but that was mostly on the feet. Then you have, you know, Dominic Cruz, kind of the same thing, a wash, but still on the feet. Like, Song Yadong even stayed on the feet with him, who was a much deadlier striker than Payne Talbot. Like, really didn't try and out-wrestle him, and still lost. Like, he did okay on the feet, Henry Cejudo, minus the eye pokes that he got fucked with. But, yeah, like, he's never been this crazy offensive chain wrestler. And, you know, Talbot might not be Song Yadong on the feet, but he's, in terms of power, but he's still pretty good. You know, he has solid takedown defenses, completely bounced back from that Howney Barcelos loss. I think it's more likely that we see Henry Cejudo keep this on the feet than just be this super high output takedown dude. And, like, he's not going to be like Howney Barcelos, who clearly saw such a massive hole in Payne Talbot's game and just spam takedowns. Like, that's not going to happen. I think I'm going to take Payne Talbot by unanimous decision. Henry Cejudo isn't high output enough on the feet either. You know, he doesn't really throw a ton of punches. He just feints a ton. He spams feints and calf kicks. He does have nice calf kicks. You know, he's just an old fucking short midget. Talbot's younger. He can use his range to his advantage. Can eat Henry Cejudo's shots, because Henry Cejudo will probably flush him with a right or something. And Payne Talbot will just mix in leg kicks and elbows, use his size. Also, he has nasty knees. And just fucking take advantage of Henry Cejudo. And out in the open, also, Payne Talbot's takedown defense looked really good against Felipe Lima. Cejudo, even if he does get Payne Talbot down, he's never been this elite finisher on the ground either. He hasn't submitted anybody, I think, as a professional. So I think he'll be fine if he's on the ground and Payne Talbot. Payne Talbot by unanimous decision. He's just going to do more damage than Triple C. Listen, I originally was like, I'll pick Henry Cejudo, mixing his grappling well enough. But then you watch Beckett's fights. He never does that anymore. So... and also when you're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out in terms of, you know, wanting to fight in the UFC and wanting not to, I guess fully now he's retiring. I just don't like that whatsoever. So I'm going to go Payne Talbot by unanimous decision. That's what I think. Up the card, we go to Brandon Moreno versus Taira. This is a hard one for me because when this was first announced, I was super excited for this fight. It was like fairly, you know, recently after he had beaten Taira, had beaten Hyung-Sung Park, where he looked really good. I'm 50-50 on this fight. Like, that Hyung-Sung Park fight was so dominant. I know it hasn't aged the best because Park just got beat up by steroid Bruno Silva. And Taira's only loss is to a split decision to Royval. Also has some wins over Alex Perez, subbed Jesus Aguilar early in his career. And he has improved a lot on the feet. But then I'm like, it's fucking Brandon Moreno we're talking about here. Like, he's one of the best flyweights ever. He's a better boxer. I think he could grapple well offensively, even with having some holes in his defensive grappling game and Taira being a dominant grappler. But I will also point this out. Taira had a better performance against Brandon Royval, where he went shot for shot with him. Brandon Moreno kind of got fucked up a little bit in that fight. I could see Taira just takes Brandon Moreno down, backpacks him, gets a ton of control, throwing up a lot of submission attempts off the back. But fuck it, I just want to go with Brandon Moreno. maybe I'll regret this. You know, I think it's a close fight, but I'm going to lean Brandon Moreno, just being a better striker, having more high-level experience. Like, I don't know. I'm really sick because Tatsuro Taira has really improved in the UFC. He has gotten a lot. He has gotten a lot better in terms of his striking. That was a big knock against him. We all know how dominant of an offensive grappler he is. I'm really fence-sitting this fucking fight. I was kind of going into it with picking Brandon Moreno. But now I'm thinking, maybe I'll pick Tatsuro Taira. It's not like Brandon Moreno's that old, though. Like, he was only about to turn 32. It's not like he's this old wash flyweight. He's still pretty good. Who's his last 2 wins over? Emil Abazi and... Who's the fucking win before? Oh, Steve Erceg. So... I'm going to go Brandon Moreno. I'm just going to stick with him. Listen, I'll feel bad if Tatsuro Taira loses this because I've kind of been a fan about him for a bit. But I think Brandon Moreno is just a better striker. And I don't know. I kind of like the way he's been interviewing. Seems very humble. I don't know. This isn't the best analysis of this fight. But I think he's just a better striker. You know, he can offensive grapple with Tatsuro Taira. I think they'll have some interesting like scrambling sequences and grappling sequences. But I'm going to go Brandon Moreno. If Tatsuro Taira wins, it's going to be by dominant grappling and kind of just backpacking and slowing down Brandon Moreno. Up the card, we go to the co-main event of Alessandro Pantoja versus Joshua Van. And I'm fucking so excited for this fight. I love Joshua Van so much. I love Alessandro Pantoja. I'm one of the founding members of the Van clan. I've been a fan of this dude since he knocked out Felipe Bunes back in 2024. One of the most exciting young striking prospects, just prospects in general in the UFC. Can't even be considered a prospect anymore because now he's the #1 contender and fighting for a belt. He's fresh off of one of the best 3-round fights you'll ever see against Brandon Royval, where he took on 3 weeks' notice after knocking out Bruno Silva. But again, I just think Alessandro Pantoja is too big of a step up for this guy. You know, he's levels ahead of everybody in the division, in my opinion. He's so much better in the grappling than Joshua Van. He can mix in kicks very well to the body, just run through you, fucking blitz you and maraud you. And he's literally a blockhead. He just eats shots. He can get you down, take your back, and then you're done. And he's only gotten better in his striking. And my problem with the Alessandro Pantoja discourse is every single time he fights somebody else, they just hype him up and then Pantoja runs through him. Beats Brandon Moreno, beats Brandon Royval. Close fight with Steve Erceg. Arguably lost. In my opinion, he won. I thought he did enough to win. It was very fucking close. Then they call a fucking dude from Japan, from Ryzen, by the name of Kai Asakura, and say, we need you to eliminate and kill Alessandro Pantoja. You know what he does? Fucking not even a moment of doubt in that fight. Absolutely destroys Kai Asakura, who's this dangerous striker, and Pantoja runs through him, takes his back, and submits him. Then you got Kai Kara-France. You're like, ooh, he's got the power to finish all. Not first. Anybody who knew ball knew that Kai Kara-France stood 0 chance against Alessandro Pantoja. But people were like, ooh, Kai Kara-France, he has the power. He has the power to knock out Alessandro Pantoja. Pantoja fucking hunts him down like a wounded fucking gazelle and just subs him. You know, I think he sometimes gasses himself out and slows down, so I could see Van maybe taking advantage in those situations. I'll go back to that point a little bit, but like the first 2-3 rounds, Alessandro Pantoja is so dangerous. Van kind of takes a bit, not like he can build into fights in the first round, but you know what I mean? He takes a little bit to build into fights. He does look like a dude who has 5 rounds of cardio, though. Like, I know he's never fought 5 rounds, but he looks like a durable motherfucker. And we saw him make really nice adjustments against Brandon Royval, where he's throwing in the oblique kicks, and that really changed the fight because he slowed Brandon Royval down. But back to that point where Alessandro Pantoja, about him kind of looking gassed out, it's like DDP-esque, where maybe he really is tired, but he just manages to push through it and it doesn't matter. And then he just walks you down, takes you down, and that's the fucking fight. Like, I think some people just also, back to Joshua Van, I'm kind of flip-flopping here because I want to give props to Joshua Van too. He has good takedown defense. I think it is underrated. I know people just only point to the Ray Saruya fight as like his only moment where he faced the grappler. Like, he showed it against Bruno Silva also. And like, he's going to have moments where I think he lands on Alessandro Pantoja, but can he do it enough? Like, I just don't think he can. I don't think he can piece up. I mean, this is ridiculous. Anybody who's watched this far into the videos, and maybe nobody does, but this fucking train, like when I go back to New York, I don't have to deal with any random fucking sounds. In South Carolina, there's a goddamn train that runs right by the fucking apartment. It's so annoying. The guy just beep, beep, beep. So fucking stupid. But whatever. I think Pantoja's just gonna show levels. He's above everybody else. He's just gonna blitz them. And in the third round. I think he's going to get a body lock against the cage, cut an angle on him, and then just take him down, get his back, sub him round 3. That's my prediction. Like, I think Joshua Van, he has the good takedown defense, is smart, like, can sprawl really well in the center of the octagon. But I just think Pantoja is too much for him. I don't think this is the day where Joshua Van's going to be the champion. Maybe one day, just not today. It's just Brandon Moreno. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not next week, maybe not in a month, but I promise you, I will be champion. That's me with Joshua Van. Like, he's going to be champion, just not today. I could see a world where Joshua Van, like, everything I've said that he does well, he actually does and slows down Pantoja, and we get a 5-round classic. That's what I want. I want a 5-round classic. And I actually don't care who wins this fight. Like, I think I want Pantoja to win simply because I want the pick correct. But I fucking love Joshua Van so much. So if Joshua Van wins, you're not going to hear me complaining. Then you get a rematch. Then you get a real rivalry. Because if Alessandro Pantoja wins, then you just get either Brandon Moreno for whatever the third fight between them, or you get Tatsuro Taira versus Alessandro Pantoja, which I would actually be interested in, but I know, you know, it's not appealing to the casual viewer. So Joshua Van wins, it at least hypes up the flyweight division for a little bit longer. But I'm going to go with Pantoja by 3rd round submission. I'm very interested to kind of see how Joshua Van deals with the grappling of Alessandro Pantoja. And can his slick boxing and striking be enough to slow down Pantoja? We're going to find out, but I'm going with Pantoja by 3rd round submission. Moving on to the main event. Honestly, a fight I'm less excited for. Like, I'm more excited for Pantoja versus Joshua Van. Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan. And I think it's still going to be a good fight. Like, I'm excited for this rematch, but I'm fucking taking Merab. I don't want to be different. I think it'd be cool if Petr Yan won. Like, he is really exciting and really fun and, you know, super underrated. One of the best bantamweights ever. One of the best UFC fighters ever. You know, probably top 30. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's a rematch. In the first fight, they both were kind of compromised. What was Merab sick or he was hurt, and Petr Yan obviously had like a broken hand. Didn't throw his right hand at all in that fight. But one thing I've noticed is that Petr Yan, like, how much has he improved? He hasn't gotten worse since the Merab fight, don't get me wrong, but how much has he improved? Like, I know he's on a 3-fight win streak, but I don't think he's improved to the level of how Merab has. Like, he's beaten Song Yadon. That's a nice win. Beat Figgy and just had a nice performance over Marcus McGee. Like, all good wins, don't get me wrong. But Merab's finishing ability has gotten better. His boxing in general has gotten significantly better. He's gotten smarter in terms of when he's going to time up the takedowns. His defense has gotten better. Nearly finished Corey Sandhagen. Finished Sean O'Malley in the rematch. And every time, rarely. I mean, listen, there are instances like Alex Pereira, but anytime, you know, you get one of these rematches, and anytime you get into one of these rematches, the guy who won the first fight always wins the second. You know what I mean? Usually. So I think Merab's going to do that again. And again, his striking IQ, his just fighting IQ in general has gotten better. It's led to him getting easier takedowns. I don't think and you know, the thing is, if Petr Yan really comes out here and is piecing up Merab, he can just go back and spam 50 takedowns. He did 49 in the last fight and landed 11. So maybe he goes for 50 this time. Like, he can just spam takedowns and win. And get a ton of control on the fence, just knee Petr Yan's body. Like, it's as simple as that. And Yan has a late takedown defense, but it takes him a while to build the fights. Or takes him around to build the fights. And if he loses the first 2 rounds of Merab, it's over. Because I don't even know what the path for Petr Yan to win is, because he doesn't finish anybody anymore. And, like, I know he's slick on the feet and, like, does a really nice job switching stances. Like, has a lot of different, you know, combinations you can put in there. But he hasn't finished since he finished Jose Aldo back in 2020, 5 years ago. And, like, you just can't start slow with a guy like Merab. Like, he forces you to be incredibly defensive. And that the entire fight. Like, you can't do what you want to do. And, like, I think Yan is really going to have to obviously defend the takedowns well, but he's going to have to use his fucking, he's going to have to use his elbows. They just make the fight ugly. And I just think he's going to have problems with the chain offensive wrestling of Merab Dvalishvili. And I don't even think it matters what Yan does, because it's not going to matter. It just won't matter. Like, he's just going to get stuck on the cage. Merab can get that front headlock in, which he does a lot, and land knees to the face, and maybe even a lock up a submission. I think there's a higher chance that Merab gets a finish in this than Petr Yan. I just can't see a world where Petr Yan fucking knocks this guy out. Like, he doesn't do it anymore. He doesn't have that finishing ability anymore. Like Sean O'Malley could have finished, could fluke a fluke. Like, if you're a Sean O'Malley fan watching this fight, I don't mean fluke. I like Sean O'Malley, but you know what I mean. Like, Merab's dominating the whole fight, and then Sean O'Malley lands one punch and knocks him out. You know what I mean? Like, he could do that. Even Corey Sandhagen could, to a degree, could do that. He'd flip a knee at his face, and that's it. I just don't see Petr Yan doing that, and I think I'm going to take Merab by unanimous decision. I expect a long break after this. Like, people keep talking about how he looks after these weight cuts. He looks like that after every weight cut, so it's not really that much of a problem to me. But fifth time cutting weight in 15 months, I think he's going to take a much-deserved and much-needed break. Jesus, my hair. Much-needed break after this, and it maybe fights again in April and is prepping for the Umar rematch. That's what I think's going to happen. I think there's a chance that Merab gets a finish here. I just can't ever pick a Merab finish. Is there some value with Petr Yan? Yeah, like Merab cutting this much weight is kind of crazy. You know, it's such another short turnaround for him. Yan, you know, he still is elite. But I just can't see, like, if this fight, if Petr Yan in any world is, I just can't see him winning. I just think he's going to get fucking beat, like, just beat down by Merab. He's just the cardio, the determination, how much better he's gotten so much better, again, from the Petr Yan, the first fight, where his striking's got better, his IQ has gotten better. Everything about Merab has gotten better, and Petr Yan's kind of stayed the same. He hasn't, you know, improved drastically in anything, and he hasn't really declined in anything either. So I'm going to go Merab Dvalishvili by unanimous decision, 49-46, something like that, 48-47. I think Yan might do better in this fight just because he's not injured. But it's not gonna matter. I just think fucking Merab is that. He's just that high level of a fighter at this point. Nobody's beating this dude. I only want to see the Umar rematch, and then after that, it's like, are you moving up? Is there a Pantoja fight in the mix? Something like that. But whatever. Merab Dvalishvili by decision. And those are my predictions for UFC 323. Really excited for this card. I think it's a great end to the ESPN era. We have so many fucking bangers. Honestly, you could argue the prelims might be more exciting than the main card. But I hope the Pantoja... I honestly praying for a Pantoja Joshua Van, like, 5-round classic. Like, the Merab fight, I'm pretty confident. I know... Listen, I'm confident the Pantoja fight's going to how I predicted it too. But I guess there's more variance there. Like, maybe Josh Van just comes out there and fucking shuts everybody up, and it's a 5-round classic. I hope that's the case. I hope Merab versus Petr Yan's close. Like, I hope it doesn't go the way that I think it's going to go. But that's the fucking card. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. We're going to be back putting out a ton of content after next week, after finals. And don't forget to watch the recap right after this card Saturday night, where I just break down what fucking happened. But thank you. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. The doctor is signing off.